Welcome back to the channel and thank you for watching. Please do smash the like button and the subscribe button on the way in if you want to receive more content from me. So a male juror has spoken out anonymously in the Depp and Heard trial. Now, of course, not providing his name because the names have been sealed, but many people don't realize that they can talk. They haven't been barred from talking, it's just that their identities are sealed for 1 year. So I thought it quite fitting to share with you my reactions live to this information provided by this juror following my previous videos. Let's go.
Trial is speaking out in an ABC News exclusive interview. What they really thought of Heard's testimony and how they made their decision when we come back.
An ABC News exclusive, new details from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial from a member of the jury who says a lot of Amber's story didn't add up and the majority of the jury felt she was more the aggressor.
Just pausing, that's exactly what a lot of people have said, because this was a tale between the two of them. In other words, many people felt like she was the one being aggressive, not Johnny Depp. So that so far accords with what a lot of other people have said. Let's listen on.
He balled up his fists, leaned back, and headbutted me square in the nose.
But never did I myself reach the point of striking Ms. Heard in any way.
The juror, one of 5 men on the 7-person jury, said Heard's emotional testimony was not realistic.
I want to move on with my life.
The crying, the facial expressions that she had, the staring at the jury, all of us were very uncomfortable. She would answer one question and she would be crying, and 2 seconds later, she would turn ice cold. Some of us use the expression crocodile tears.
Just pausing there on that, that is one thing that I noticed and I discussed with a lot of other legal experts, is that she'd be facing the jury highly emotionally charged in her responses and then turn away and suddenly be straight-faced when looking at Camille for the next question. And then when turning back to the jury for the response to that question, the next question, again, the emotions would come to the surface and the face would distort. Even when there were just objections to the question, it was almost like her emotions would just turn off and she would turn back to wait for the judge's ruling. And if the judge overruled the objection, she would almost turn the emotion back on, turning back to the jury and turning back to the emotional state that she was before the objection. So this, just to reiterate, the crying, the facial expressions that she had, staring at the jury, all of us were very uncomfortable. That's the impression that I got watching the trial, and I made comments to that effect when I was doing some live streams about it. When she was looking at the jury, staring at the jury whilst giving her testimony and creating these emotional expressions, and then this goes on, she would answer one question and she'd be crying, and then 2 seconds later she would turn ice cold. That's how I described it when she turned back, waiting for the next question. And then, as this juror reportedly has said, some of them used the expression crocodile tears. Let's listen on.
I didn't think he knew what he was doing. I don't know how. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
On Depp's side, a lot of the jury felt what he was saying at the end of the day was more believable. He just seemed a little more real in terms of how he was responding to questions. His emotional state was very stable throughout.
And just pausing there again, that's very important for a person to essentially have a believable testimony with the real and believable emotions as they are telling it. Lots of people that I've spoken to have said that they just felt her reactions were unbelievable, too outrageous, and yet just not real in the way that they came across, whereas Johnny Depp was much more stable, much calmer, and overall much more consistent, which is effectively what this juror is saying here. Let's continue.
It could be throwing a glass of wine in my face.
The juror said the revelation...
And just to pick up on the testimony here, I know it's not from the juror, but from Johnny Depp. Following my previous video that I've just released, the actions seem much more realistic in the way that he's portraying the evidence in court. And that's obviously what the juror is mentioning, and that's why it's been picked up for this particular footage. But let's continue.
Revelation Heard had not donated her $7 million divorce settlement to charity was a fiasco for her.
And just pausing there, yes, absolutely. I've discussed this at length. Her use of wording and the meaning of words. She understood what donate actually meant. And there was no confusion for her. It's just that she chose to play word games, in my view, to almost deceive and confuse the issue, to explain almost why she hadn't actually donated the money. And I do believe that she knows what that means. And clearly the jury did as well, as described here by the juror as a fiasco. So let's continue.
You still haven't donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
Incorrect. I pledged the entirety. I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another.
She goes on a talk show in the UK. The video shows her sitting there telling the host that she gave all that money away. And the terms she used in that video clip were, I gave it away. I donated it. It's gone.
Just pausing there. That's exactly my point. She knows exactly what those words mean. And when she said in her testimony that she uses pledge and donate synonymously, clearly that was, in the jury's eyes, disingenuous. Let's continue.
The fact is, she didn't give much of it away at all. He also disputed Heard's attorney's claim the jury was influenced by social media, saying, we followed the evidence. Myself and at least 2 other jurors don't use Twitter or Facebook. Others who had it made a point not to talk about it.
And that's my experience when talking to other people that have sat on juries. They take their duty very seriously. They don't research it. They don't want to research it. They stay off media. They just don't read about it. And as this juror says here, some people didn't even use it. And those that did made a point of not talking about it and therefore not allowing it to influence the jury deliberations. So that I'm pleased to hear that. I have to say I am pleased to hear that from this juror speaking out anonymously. I am pleased to hear that in a case like this, that is the word from within the jury room, that they didn't talk about social media. They made a point of not talking about it, because that is how a jury should deliberate on the evidence. A jury should consider the evidence. They should weigh up their verdict only on the evidence presented, as the judge put it, within the 4 walls of the courtroom. Let's continue.
He said, ultimately, what I think is truthful was that they were both abusive to each other. I don't think that makes either of them right or wrong. But to rise to the level of what she was claiming, there wasn't enough or any evidence that really supported what she was saying. He added that he believed Johnny did not hit Amber.
Trevor Alt with that.
And so there it is. That's what the anonymous juror has said. And I agree. I don't think that there is sufficient evidence to support what Amber was saying. That is my view. I've held that view all along, because with the amount of allegations she made and the amount of injuries she claims that she suffered, there would be far more evidence, far more photos than that. And the evidence that she did put forward, in my view, is full of holes and has been dissected by lots of people. And for this juror to confirm that that's what ultimately led the jury to this verdict behind closed doors, that's reassuring that they did look at the evidence in this way and they weighed it up on the evidence. They didn't consider there was enough evidence to support what she was saying. And fair enough that there was arguments and aggression on both sides, but not to the level that she was claiming. And ultimately, that's what this claim was about. So it's a good way of putting it. Neither was right or wrong. You'll have noticed that myself and other commentators have refrained from saying one is right or wrong, save that we don't believe the testimony and it's not supported by evidence. So with that, I found that very interesting. No doubt you'll have your own views and comments, which I'd be interested to see and read in the comment section below. Please leave those comments down below. Please make sure you smash the like button before you go on to another video. Check out my other videos in the description. There are lots more very detailed analysis videos that I've done of the UK trial, comparing it with the US trial and so on. The UK trial is not a sort of golden nugget for anyone to say that this case was won in the UK and therefore the US verdict means nothing is absolutely not true in my view, because the case was so very different. I've gone through the judgment in great detail in several analysis videos, linked in the description below. I hope you enjoy those. Please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon. Otherwise, you might not get notified of my videos. And if you comment, that makes it even more likely. And YouTube loves that, or YouTube's algorithm really loves that. So in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.